Glenn Big Baby Davis received a 40-month prison sentence today for his 2023 conviction in a scheme to defraud the league's health care benefits plan. 22 people, including 18 former players such as Terrence Williams and Keon Dooling, have been sentenced in the case, which centered around filing false medical claims. Davis was a member of the Celtics' 2008 championship team.
5 former Celtics are among 18 former NBA players charged with defrauding the league's health and welfare benefit plan. Tony Allen and his wife, Glenn Big Baby Davis, Milt Palacio, Sebastian Telfair, and Terrence Williams are all facing charges. According to the indictment, the ex-players submitted false and fraudulent claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental expenses that never happened. The defendants are accused of receiving $2.5 million total in fraudulent proceeds. Katie Johnston for CBSN, Boston.
New at 5, several former NBA players who played in Charlotte are charged in a multi-million-dollar health care fraud scheme. 18 players in all are named in the fraud case. Investigators say those players pocketed $2.5 million by submitting fake claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental procedures that never happened. In one instance, investigators say an ex-player was playing basketball in Taiwan when he was supposedly getting $48,000 worth of root canals and crowns in Beverly Hills, California. Chris Douglas Roberts, Melvin Ely, Jamario Moon, Eddie Robinson, Alan Anderson, and Shannon Brown are facing charges. They all played for the old Bobcats or Hornets at one point in their career. Let's break this down right now and bring in Fox 46 Chief Legal Correspondent Seema Iyer. And Seema, can you explain all these charges here?
Wow, this is something, isn't it, Brian? Okay, so the charges, basically they have all been charged together for conspiracy to commit healthcare and wire fraud, as well as aggravated identity theft. So let me explain what this conspiracy is all about. A conspiracy basically means a group of people who are sharing the same purpose, the same goal. And the prosecution, they have to prove that we all share the same goal in this conspiracy by showing overt acts, that we go to the doctor, we go file a false claim, we submit a false invoice. The issue and why conspiracy is so hard to overcome for a defendant is because, let's say me, you, and Alicia are in a conspiracy together. If Alicia does something wrong, I'm in trouble for it. If Brian does something wrong, which he probably would, I get in trouble for it. So that, in essence, guys, is a conspiracy. All for one, one for all, in for a penny, in for a pound. That's the stuff we lawyers like to say, Brian.
Yeah, you sure do. And you know, I think basketball players make a lot of money, but we heard that about one player in another country, when he was supposed to be stateside for dental work, how do you think they all got caught here?
Well, think about it, Brian. Dental work, medical work, chiropractors. There were so many offices involved, so many assistants involved, so many people who had opportunities to snitch. So let's say the FBI gets a tip and they investigate. What usually the FBI does is they go to one of the people suspected in being involved in this conspiracy and they say, hey, you know what, we're giving you a shot, come on in, talk to us before this thing gets out of hand. And that one person could lead to more and more and more paperwork, more arrests, and this could still be going on. Of course, we're gonna follow it all, guys.
Yeah, and we just saw this with football. Now we're seeing it with basketball. So athletes should be taking notice, especially the professional ones making some big money here.
You think?
All right. Well, Seema Iyer live in the Satellite Center for us. Thanks.
A massive fraud scheme. The alleged target, the NBA. 18 former players are charged with defrauding the league's health and welfare benefit plan to the tune of nearly $4 million. NewsNation's Tom Negevin is live in New York. Tom, this is obviously a lot of money we're talking about here, and there are some big names facing charges.
Fairly big names, but very unsophisticated, Nicole, and that's the point that the FBI and federal prosecutors are making tonight. They say in one of these cases, they actually used publicly available information, box scores, to determine that one of the accused was playing professional ball in Taiwan when he claimed he was getting an expensive dental procedure in Beverly Hills. 18 former players and one player's wife charged in the alleged scheme. Federal agents fanning out across the country this morning to make the arrests. They say the defendants made $3.9 million in false claims to the league's health and welfare benefit plan, leading to $2.5 million in payouts and allegedly $230,000 in kickbacks to former Celtics great Terrence Williams, who the feds say orchestrated the whole thing.
Terrence Williams was the scheme's linchpin. He provided the other former players with false invoices for medical and dental procedures that they never received.
According to the indictment, the 34-year-old Williams, who spent 4 seasons in the NBA, would supply false invoices to support the fraudulent claims. But investigators were alerted by the sloppy work of the defendants, noting that supporting information was not on letterhead, contained unusual formatting, and had grammatical errors. Today, noting the healthcare industry loses tens of millions of dollars to fraud every year.
These costs are then passed on to businesses and customers. That's a fraud we take very seriously.
And tonight, in a statement from the NBA, the league calls these allegations disheartening, says it is cooperating fully. The FBI confirms the investigation is still ongoing. What they will not confirm for us, Nicole, is that they are done making arrests.
All right. So, Tom, we will see what happens. All right. Thank you for that.
18 former NBA players have been charged in what the FBI says was a massive healthcare scam.
Here's a list of their names. The list includes NBA champions Glenn Big Baby Davis and Shannon Brown, and Brooklyn native and Lincoln High School standout Sebastian Telfair. Prosecutors say the scheme started in November of 2017. The former players, allegedly pocketed around $2.5 million by defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan with fake medical and dental claims. Authorities say former New Jersey Nets guard Terrence Williams was the ringleader.
He provided the other former players with false invoices for medical and dental procedures that they never received. The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
The wife of one of the former players was also charged. All of them face conspiracy charges that carry a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison.
Former NBA players are now facing charges in an elaborate multi-million-dollar insurance fraud scheme.
And several of the former players have ties to Chicago. WGN's Julian Cruz joins us now live in the loop with the latest. Julian?
Ray, 2 of the 18 former NBA stars named in this indictment arrested this morning, we are told, from their Chicago area homes. They were brought here downtown for their initial appearance before a U.S. district judge. And they are now being held on a $250,000 bond, facing felony fraud charges.
The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
The U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York at a Manhattan press conference crying foul, announcing conspiracy to commit health care fraud and wire fraud charges against 18 former NBA players and a spouse.
The 19 charged defendants submitted approximately $3.9 million in false claims.
One of the former players, Terrence Williams, facing additional charges for running the alleged scheme.
He provided the other former players with false invoices for medical and dental procedures that they never received.
The false invoices, according to prosecutors, targeting the league's health and welfare benefit plan. Among the 18 athletes named in the indictment, former Chicago and Illinois area NBA players Tony Allen, who attended Crane High School, Eddie Robinson, a former Chicago Bull, Will Bynum, another Crane High School legend, Shannon Brown, a former Illinois Mr. Basketball, who attended Proviso East, Melvin Ely, who attended Thornton Township High School, and Darius Miles from downstate Belleville.
Each defendant fraudulently sought reimbursement ranging from approximately $65,000 to as much as $420,000 per defendant.
Now, Bynum and Eli were ordered to surrender their passports in a short hearing before the federal judge, and Byram was ordered to turn in his firearm as well as his firearm identification card, or FOID card for short. The two are slated to appear in October with other co-defendants in New York. At the Metropolitan Correctional Center, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Thank you, Julian. White Sox star.
Yeah, some of the players named here made millions of dollars on the court. Now they're being accused of defrauding the NBA off the court, allegedly running an insurance racket since 2017.
The list of former players is long, 18 of them, along with the wife of one of them. Federal prosecutors say they've been charged with defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan out of nearly $4 million. Former LA Clipper Glenn Big Baby Davis and Darius Miles are named in the complaint, as is former Laker Shannon Brown. According to the Basketball Reference website, Davis earned more than $34 million during his 9-year career. Former player Terrence Williams is the alleged ringleader, accused of recruiting other retired players to submit false claims for medical and dental expenses that were never rendered.
The 19 charged defendants submitted approximately $3.9 million in false claims. The plan paid out $2.5 million to the defendants, and Williams received approximately $230,000 in kickbacks.
Say the fake medical invoices were created by a chiropractic office in Encino, 2 dental offices in Beverly Hills, and a wellness office in Washington State.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel, and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
The 18 NBA veterans are accused of ripping off the league's health benefits plan by filing fake claims for medical procedures that never happened.
The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
Prosecutors allege ex-NBA player Terrence Williams orchestrated the scheme, recruiting other players by offering fake invoices for chiropractic treatments and dental care. According to the indictment, they submitted nearly $4 million worth of claims. The health plan paid out $2.5 million. Williams allegedly got $230,000 in kickbacks from the other players.
This industry loses tens of billions of dollars a year to fraud. These costs are then passed on to businesses and customers.
Prosecutors say the scheme unfolded from 2017 through 2020. Ex-power forward Gregory Smith is accused of seeking reimbursement for root canals in Beverly Hills when he was actually playing basketball in Taiwan. Among the others charged, Glenn Davis, Shannon Brown, and 6-time NBA All-Defensive Team member Tony Allen, along with his wife. Late today, Sebastian Telfair pleaded not guilty, walking out of federal court with an ankle monitor. The other former players have not yet commented. The NBA today called the allegations disheartening and promised to cooperate fully with the U.S. Attorney's Office here.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
The feds are accusing 18 former NBA players of scamming the league out of millions of dollars. Federal prosecutors say these former players submitted false insurance claims to get massive payouts on medical and dental procedures that they never got. The details are crazy. 19 people charged with conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and wire fraud. One of them, a former player's wife. They say the defendant submitted nearly $4 million in false claims and were paid out about $2.5 million. Some of the bigger names in the case, Glenn Big Baby Davis. He won a title with the Celtics. And the former Coney Island High School sensation, Sebastian Telfair. And Darius Miles. He was the 3rd overall pick in the 2000 draft. They're all caught up in this. Prosecutors say part of the reason they got caught, they were sloppy. Very sloppy. One example, they say Greg Smith, who played for the Rockets, submitted a claim for $48,000 for IVs and a root canal, some crowns, all in Beverly Hills. The problem was, he wasn't even in California the day of the procedure. He was in Taiwan playing ball. The feds say they have the travel records, the emails, and publicly available box scores to prove it. And there's more. CNBC's Valerie Castro has it. This list of stuff they did is, I mean, it's the prosecutor stuff, innocent until proven guilty, but wow.
It seems endless, Shep.
Yeah.
And there was an alleged ringleader of this whole scheme who was named at the very top of the indictment. Terrence Williams, who played on multiple teams, including the New Jersey Nets, is accused of directing other former players in this fraud, and he allegedly benefited from their payouts. The grand jury indictment filed in the Southern District of New York alleges Williams recruited other plan participants to defraud the plan by offering to supply them with false invoices to support their false and fraudulent claims to the plan in exchange for the payment of kickbacks to Williams. It goes on to say many of the defendants paid Williams kickbacks totaling at least approximately $230,000. Federal prosecutors say former players submitted false claims for chiropractic, dental, and wellness services ranging from $65,000 to as much as $420,000. Authorities say evidence like travel records and GPS data put them far from the supposed provider on the date they claimed to be there. Others submitted identical claims on the same dates that also raised suspicion, along with typos and forms that were not on official letterhead.
3 of the charged defendants, Ronald Glenn Davis, Anthony Roten, and Anthony Allen, purportedly had root canals on the same 6 teeth on April 30, 2016, and crowns on the same 6 teeth on May 11, 2016.
Williams is also accused of impersonating a health plan employee to intimidate another player when he wouldn't pay the kickback. And Shep, as of this hour, NBC News is still trying to reach the players and their attorneys, but haven't received any comment just yet. One of the accused players, Sebastian Telfair, who you mentioned earlier, he has already pleaded not guilty in federal court.
All right, this is just getting started. Thank you.
Who purportedly received medical and dental services at a location on a particular date were often nowhere near the provider's offices.
Officials say it was a textbook insurance fraud scheme. The players allegedly submitted fake reimbursement claims for medical and dental services to the NBA. They never received those services, but ended up getting about $2.5 million in proceeds from the benefit plan.
This scheme, which lasted for about 3 years, inflicts a significant loss to the healthcare industry, something we take very seriously.
According to the indictment, Williams started the scam by submitting false claims from a chiropractor's office. He then allegedly recruited other former players to do the same, offering them counterfeit invoices from medical providers. The feds say today's indictments show this type of fraud won't be tolerated.
My office and our law enforcement partners will apply our resources to expose healthcare fraud and to hold accountable those engaged in illegal conduct.
18 former NBA players are facing charges of defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan. The list includes former Clippers players Darius Miles, Sebastian Telfair, and Glenn Big Baby Davis, along with former Laker Shannon Brown. The players are accused of submitting false and fraudulent claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental expenses they never actually incurred. According to the indictment, players received around $2.5 million in fraudulent proceeds. CBS News reports the scheme was orchestrated by former New Jersey Nets player Terrence Williams. And according to the indictment, he recruited other former players by giving them fake invoices to support fraudulent claims. Katie Johnston for CBSN, Los Angeles.
The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
18 former NBA players were charged on Thursday with defrauding the league's health and wellness benefit plan out of $3.9 million, seeking reimbursement for medical and dental work that was never performed. According to an indictment filed with the U.S. District Court in Manhattan, players received $2.5 million in fraudulent proceeds, with 10 paying the alleged ringleader Terrence Williams at least $230,000 in kickbacks. Audrey Strauss, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
First, Williams obtained fraudulent medical and dental invoices. Second, he sent those invoices to his co-conspirators, other former NBA players. Third, the co-conspirators submitted the fraudulent claims to the plan. Fourth, unaware that the claims were fraudulent, the plan paid most of the defendants' claims. And fifth, in many cases, the defendants paid kickbacks to Williams.
The alleged scheme involved 2 dental offices and a chiropractic office in the Los Angeles area, and a wellness office in Washington state.
Ronald Glenn Davis, Anthony Roten, and Anthony Allen purportedly had root canals on the same 6 teeth on April 30, 2016, and crowns on the same 6 teeth on May 11, 2016. Roten and Allen each also purportedly had root canals on the same 13 teeth on September 6, 2018.
Among the defendants are Tony Allen, a 6-time member of the NBA All-Defensive Team, and Glenn Davis, both of whom won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 2008. Other defendants included Sebastian Telfair, a former Brooklyn High School basketball star, and Milt Palacio, now an assistant coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. In a statement, the NBA said it will cooperate with prosecutors, calling the accusations particularly disheartening given the importance of its benefit plans to support players' health, including after they retire.
Maybe. Right now, time to see what's clicking in Cleveland. For that, we bring in our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. Hi, Steph.
Hi there, Jay. You know, if these allegations are true, this first one is shocking because there are a lot of former Cleveland Cavaliers accused of stealing almost $4 million from their NBA insurance plans. Not a Cavalier, but Terrence Williams is accused of being the ringleader and recruited 17 other players to get paid out on fake insurance claims. 5 of them, former Cavs, including Jamario Moon, Shannon Brown, Darius Miles, Sebastian Telfair, and Milt Palacio. That 6th player, Ruben Patterson, didn't play for the Cavs, but he's from Cleveland. And today they're all facing federal charges. Also today, Shelly Meyer, who is married to Urban Meyer, has posted online for the first time since that video came out, and she says this is her last tweet ever. She writes that she's leaving the platform because of the hate, vitriol, and slander. This is after she liked tweets saying that her husband doesn't deserve her, following that video coming out of him getting very close with another woman. Now, Urban has apologized, and Shelly wrote that we all make mistakes and we are all sinners. All right, now let's get to a bit of good news from our weekly It's All Good News show. This is Stephanie Metzger and Patrick Lawrence, who finally got married on August 25th. Almost a full year after their original plans. They had a gorgeous private ceremony in Greece, and when they came back home to make it legal, they had a short ceremony at University Heights City Hall where the mayor declared their official wedding day of September 24th, 2021 as Stephanie Metzger and Patrick Lawrence Day in the city. Now, for those of you who may not know at home, Stephanie used to work with us here, so I saw this on her page and I asked her, how do they do this? Is this a thing? And it is a thing in University Heights. Everyone can do this on your wedding date.
Just in University Heights?
Just in University Heights because there's only 13,000 people that live there, so they have a little extra space to make it special for people.
If you're an entrepreneur, get an event center in University Heights because then your patrons can have their own day.
Yeah, congratulations to the happy new couple. And by the way, beautiful pictures. Yeah. Stephanie, when and where can people see the full Good News show? Because that's uplifting.
It really is. It's such a great time, and it comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on the WKYC YouTube page, and we would love to feature your good news. You can share it with us using the hashtag GoodNewsCLE through the WKYC app as well, or by text or email, and we would really love for you to keep that good news coming.
We're also working breaking news on alleged fraud in the NBA. This morning, a federal grand jury indictment was unsealed. 18 former NBA players have been indicted with defrauding the league's health care plan out of $4 million, and former Boston Celtics are among them, including Glenn Big Baby Davis, Milt Palacio, and Sebastian Telfair. Others on the list include Terrence Williams, Tony Allen, and Will Bynum. And federal prosecutors are going to be holding a news conference later today in Manhattan. We're going to monitor those developments and bring you the latest tonight on 12 News at 4.
On the NBA scene, East St. Louis native Darius Miles was once a household name. The number 3 overall draft pick in 2000 is now one of 18 players arrested for allegedly defrauding the NBA League's health and welfare benefit plan for $4 million. According to the indictment, players submitted false and fraudulent claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental expenses that were never actually incurred.
The plan accepted the false claims as submitted and paid out many of them. Each defendant fraudulently sought reimbursement ranging from approximately $65,000 to as much as $420,000 per defendant.
Tonight, 18 former NBA players are charged with defrauding the league's health plan out of $2.5 million. They include ex-Celtic and 2008 NBA champion Glenn Big Baby Davis and Tony Allen, nicknamed the Grindfather for his tenacious defense. Well, prosecutors say the ex-players submitted phony claims for medical procedures that never happened.
First on Fox, they made millions in the NBA, but tonight several former Charlotte Hornets and Bobcats players are charged in a massive healthcare fraud. Thanks for staying up with us after the game. I'm Brian Blakely.
And I'm Alicia Barnes. Investigators say those players ripped off a healthcare plan meant to help them and their families.
Fox 46's Ryan Kruger shows us how the fraud played out, and the former Charlotte players now facing serious charges.
6 men who used to play basketball in this building behind me now face the possibility of spending time behind bars after federal investigators say they were part of a large conspiracy to fleece millions of dollars. They made their careers on the NBA hardwood, but the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office say 18 former NBA players ripped off millions from a player's health care plan.
The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
One of the people charged with using that playbook is Jamario Moon, who spent 1 season with Charlotte in 2011, back when they were still called the Bobcats. Flash forward several years later, and investigators say Moon claimed to get 5 root canals on the same day, and then 5 more a year later. But it turns out
that the defendants who purportedly received medical and dental services at a location on a particular date were often nowhere near the provider's offices when the claimed services were supposedly provided.
in all, there are 6 former Charlotte players facing charges, including Chris Douglas Roberts, Alan Anderson, and Eddie Robinson. According to investigators, it was textbook fraud. Defendants would submit false claims for medical and dental procedures, get paid back, and then pay kickbacks to the alleged ringleader, Terrence Williams.
This industry loses tens of billions of dollars a year to fraud. These costs are then passed on to businesses and customers. That's a fraud we take very seriously.
And in one instance, federal investigators say that one of the defendants, a former NBA player, actually claimed that he was getting $48,000 worth of medical procedures in California, when in fact, on that same date, he was playing basketball professionally in Taiwan. In Uptown, Ryan Kruger, Fox 46.
The Justice Department is expected to charge 2 more former NFL players in an alleged multi-million-dollar scheme to defraud the league's health program. 10 former players have already been indicted. 4 of them played for the Washington Redskins, including running back Clinton Portis. Nicole Killian is outside FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland, the home of the Redskins. Nicole, what have we learned about this investigation?
Well, Michelle, some of these ex-players have been arrested while others are turning themselves in. That includes Clinton Portis, who spent much of his career with the Washington Redskins and is well known in this community. Today, he is expected to surrender to authorities, but his attorney insists he did nothing wrong.
It's a play that the Justice Department is now blowing the whistle on.
This is very much like a typical healthcare fraud scheme.
Federal prosecutors indicted 10 former NFL players, including All-Pro running back Clinton Portis, on fraud charges and accused them of using a league healthcare plan like a personal money machine.
By defrauding the plan and treating it like their own personal ATM, sadly, the defendants placed the plan's tax-exempt status at risk.
The players were charged with nearly $4 million worth of fraudulent claims for high-cost medical equipment they never actually bought. The claims typically ranged from $40,000 to $50,000 apiece for a hyperbaric oxygen chamber used by scuba divers, ultrasound machines, and electromagnetic therapy devices used on horses.
You would be surprised as the casual fan or observer some of the more unconventional or seemingly unconventional avenues that these guys take to get their body whole.
Doug Eldridge, who represents a number of NFL athletes, says these actions, if proven, could make it harder for other players.
The veracity is now in question. Then they will seek to poke holes in every forthcoming claim.
Portis' attorney told CBS News in a statement his client is, quote, completely taken aback by the indictment and will move forward with the process of clearing his good name and those of his fellow NFL alumni. The NFL Players Association declined to comment. The charges these former players face carry penalties that could put them behind bars for decades if convicted. Tony?
All right, Nicole, thank you very much. Very interesting case. Yeah. You know, it's not
always, you can assume that these guys made some money while they were playing, but you often make it young. You don't always save it, and you could face difficulties in your 30s. On the other hand, it's alleged that this is fraud, but meanwhile, their lawyers saying, hey, these guys have unusual ways of staying healthy. Remember, they were in the NFL. You get injured.
A lot of them have injuries.
Yeah.
Pound it.
It's going to be harder now for other people making those claims.
Yeah.
Very interesting case. Nicole, thank you very much.
18 former NBA players, including a former Spurs player, have been charged with attempting to defraud the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan. Sports director Joe Reinagle is here. And Joe, who is the former Spurs player?
Well, I'm not sure if anybody's going to remember this, Deborah, but the guy's name is Melvin Ely. He spent a very brief time here in San Antonio. In fact, he only appeared in 6 ball games back in 2007, but it was enough to get him a championship ring that year. Now, Eli and the others are accused of defrauding the NBA's health and welfare plan out of some $4 million. And as of today, 16 of the 18 accused have been taken into custody. You know, this was an elaborate scheme. The players submitted false claims to the league's health care plan. In total, some $3.9 million in claims were filed. $2.5 million were paid out. Now, the scheme was uncovered due in part to very sloppy work on the part of the defendants. Now, prosecutors are saying that it was extremely sloppy, and that's what led them to this. Now, the NBA is not the only league that to have this type of scheme uncovered. In fact, just last month, 3 former NFL players pleaded guilty for their roles in a nationwide healthcare fraud scheme. Now, those players charged in the NBA scheme face a count of conspiracy to commit healthcare and wire fraud. And the prosecutors say they're taking this case and all healthcare fraud schemes very seriously, so there could be some harsh punishments. We'll keep you posted.
Former Philadelphia 76ers Tony Wroten is one of 18 former NBA players charged with defrauding the league's health and welfare benefit plan. Wroten spent 3 seasons with the Sixers from 2013 through 2016. According to the indictment, the ex-player submitted false and fraudulent claims to get reimbursed for medical and dental expenses. In total, the players received around $2.5 million from the false claims. Other players facing charges include Anthony Allen, Sebastian Telfair, and Shannon Brown. Katie Johnston for CBSN, Philly.